last time you stayed up all night long and didn't bat an eyelash? When was the last time? Think about it. For married people, I'll give you. Let me explain it to you. Rabotai, listen carefully. When a person's dating, there's many times, although later on in life, it's very hard to get men to speak even 2 sentences straight to their wife. But early when they're dating, especially as the dating process progresses and they're getting more comfortable with each other, how many times did a couple during dating have all-nighters where they're talking and talking and talking and talking, and they don't even get tired? You see the clock is, everybody during the dating period has an all-nighter where they're talking and schmoozing, and you don't even feel the time going by. Rabotai, Leil Hashana Raba and Leil Shavuot are the sweetest time of the dating period, of the courtship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Am Yisrael. What a loving relationship. We're in love. In English, it doesn't sound so good. When you in English you say falling in love. It sounds like you're falling into something, or you're getting trapped. It's a falling into love. Like love is some sort of pit, or some sort of stumbling block, and then you fall into it and you break bones. It's like it doesn't sound so good. But be'emet ahava, real ahava. That's how come over there in the beginning you're not tired. A couple, when they're dating, they stay up all night long schmoozing and talking and laughing together, and they don't even get tired. And the hands on the clock are moving. That's what we're trying to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu Leil Hashana Raba. Trying to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu, look how in love we are with you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're not even yawning. Shtabach Shemo, look. And Hoshana Rabbah is significantly longer, the night is significantly longer than Shavuot. Shavuot is chik-chak. It's 4 hours, start to finish, until you get the nitz. Yeah, not everybody, many places are cutting corners. They try to say, how early can I start shacharit on Hoshana Rabbah? A lot of people are praying today before Netzach Hama. Tfilatam b'di'avad. Maran Shulchan Aruch writes in Shulchan Aruch Siman Petet. Hitpalel kodem shetanetzach hama yasa, which means if a person prays after Alot HaShachar before Netzach Hama, he's yotze. Yatza, what does yatza mean? Yatza means b'di'avad. The tefillah is handicapped, which is wonderful. People stay up all night long learning Torah to have a handicapped tefillah on the morning of Hoshana Rabbah. Wow, great job. Anyway, mikol makom, you have to sometimes get it's be'emet kacha, it's better for a person to sleep all night long on Hoshana Rabbah and not to do the tikkun, rather than to pray tfilat shacharit b'di'avad. Lama yitpalen tfilat shacharit b'di'avad? Hare, the Torah says, you should know, in the winter it gets very difficult. Sometimes people have to go to work, and nitz is very late. I don't know what now they're in Congress. They're donning. They do it every year. I don't know what's going to happen this year. Right? They're donning. Should we keep daylight savings time all year long? It causes depression. It causes mental health issues. And Yodama, all of a sudden they realize that daylight saving times causes mental health issues. So, mikol makom. So now it gets very late sometimes. I had a Rebbe used to say, it's a very big nisayon during the winter to not pray before nitz. Nitz in the winter can get as late as 7:30. By the time you finish tefillah, and then people have to get to work, it's a big nisayon. Who is miyaseh tefillat shacharit, Rabotai? It says, "Vayeshkem Avraham baboker vayachavosh et chamoro." Vayeshkem Avraham. Avraham Avinu woke up early to pray, and who prayed even earlier than Avraham Avinu? Terach. Yeah, therefore those minyanim that pray before Netzach Hama is a minyan shel terach. Yeah, Rabotai, that's the way it goes. Yeah, mikol makom. It's minyan po'alim, miskenim. They have to work. All of a sudden, po'alim is somebody you have to report to a boss. You can't come late to work. But sometimes you see not po'alim, you see even the bosses take advantage of the minyan shel terach. Why? Because who wants to stay? It's a ba'aya. In Europe, the problem is even worse than over here. You know what time nitz is in Europe, in England and France and Germany during the winter? Nitz can be 8:30, 9 o'clock. זה בעיה קצת. אבל, נכון, משה? Nitz is very late. מכל מקום רבותיי, person has to realize, this is the last shebang. Hashem says, the Midrash writes in Parashat Emor, we've spent a long time basking in the glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu during Chodesh Tishri. It's a month that has no comparison throughout the year. Chodesh Tishri is chock full of mitzvot. You have Rosh Hashanah, Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, Yom HaKippurim, and then you have my alarm. The alarm. Anyway, yeah. Mikol makom. So now, what happens is, at the end of Chodesh Tishri, Hashem says, there's a midrash. The midrash says, mashal. Once, there was a king who married off his only daughter. Only daughter. And when a king marries off a daughter, you know what kind of wedding he makes, and dignitaries and officials and all sorts of zachin. So they all come. And he made a whole kimat month-long celebration. At the end, towards the end of the celebration, the king goes over to his only daughter and he says, you know, I know you're a married woman now, you have to go with your husband, you're moving away, I respect that. But he says, you know, I've been very distracted this past month dealing with all the guests and whatever. He says, can you do me a favor? The last day, he said, you know, tomorrow you have to go back already. I just want to spend one day, just me and you. Nobody else, nothing else, no intermediaries, no go-betweens, just me and you. He says, and then you go l'chaim tovim shalom with your new husband. The Midrash says that's exactly what Shmini Atzeret Simchat Torah is. Hashem says during Chodesh Tishri, we're overloaded, Yishtabach Shemo, like the Gemara says, Masechet Rosh Hashanah, Daf Yud Aleph. The Navi in Melachim calls Chodesh Tishri Yerach HaEtanim, the month of might. Why is it called the mighty month? The Gemara brings down two perushim. Perush number one, Mishum Shenoldu Bo Etane Olam. The Avot HaKadoshim, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Yitzchak is a machloket whether he was born during Chodesh Tishri or Chodesh Nisan, but the Avot were born during Chodesh Nisan, during Chodesh Tishri. Sorry. Another opinion says the Gemara, Mishum sheYisrael etanim bo b'mitzvot. Am Yisrael is fortified with mitzvot. There is no month throughout the year that Am Yisrael has more mitzvot per capita than Chodesh Tishri. Shofar, V'tzom Kippur, and Lulav, Sukkah, all sorts of mitzvot. And Hashem says, Baruch Hashem, that we finished all the mitzvot, you mekayem everything, on the last day that we have together. Before, and it's very depressing, Motzai Simchat Torah, it's probably the most depressing day of the year. Why? Everybody has to go. Now it's back to life. Tishri is a nice escape from life, and then all of a sudden, Motzei Simchat Torah, life hits you back in the face like a ton of bricks. Everybody's got to go back to work, back to school, back to, you know, wherever it is that you're going. HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes back to Shmei Marom. We spent a beautiful month together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then Hashem goes back, and we go back. It's very depressing. Hashem says, the last day, no tools, no intermediaries, no catalysts. I don't need any more mitzvot. You did the shofar, you did the tzom, you did sukkah, you did lulav. Hashem says, just me and you, through the Simchat Torah. This is the culmination of the love story that is Chodesh Tishri. Hashem says, that is Simchat Torah. That's why you don't need a sukkah anymore. You don't need a lulav. Hashem says, just me and you. Me and you dancing together. And that's why you ever see, how does a chatan dance? You know, by a friend's wedding, you dance nicely. But who dances the wildest and who dances the longest at the wedding? The chatan. The chatan has no menucha. Sometimes they have to sit him down and, you know, polish his shoes and wipe the sweat off. But then what? That's only round one. Then he's got to get up and dance with everybody else again because he's the star of the show. Hashem says, on Simchat Torah, we're all chatan v'kala. Well, Hashem is the chatan and we're the kala. There's no menucha. Everybody's dancing so wildly because we are the stars of the show and there's nothing else that you need. How come the chatan doesn't need a shofar, he doesn't need lulav, he doesn't need sukkah? Because the chatan himself, chatan v'kala, they are the stars of the show. Everything revolves around them. Hashem says on Shmini Atzeret, on Simchat Torah, after you've been through Teshuvah Me'ahava, the 6 days of sukkah, and then the revamped, renaissanced, sweetened deen of Hashana Raba, Hashem says, now we break out all the stops, like the Navi says, "V'David mefazez umcharker bechol oz lifnei Hashem." When the Aron made its way back to Yerushalayim, and the Rambam in Ilchot Lulav, all the way at the end, says that this is Simchat Bet HaShoeva is learned out from David HaMelech. David HaMelech danced wildly, in a frivolous manner, to the ire of his wife Michal Bat Shaul, wasn't happy about how he was conducting himself, and she gave him musar, and David HaMelech gave her counter musar. Yeah, David HaMelech says, you're not going to tell me like that. She said, the Midrash says, that Michal Bat Shaul said, I also come from a royal family. My father, my brothers, kings and princes, they never acted like that. They never danced so wildly. What are you doing? How are you dancing like that? David HaMelech gave her back musar. David HaMelech says, the Midrash says, your parents, your father, your family, they were worried about their own kavod at the expense of kavod shamayim. I'm worried about Kvod Shamayim at the expense of my own Kavod. He gave her back Musar, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed with David HaMelech, and he punished Michal. The Navi says that Michal, Ul Michal lo valad ad yom mota. She didn't have a child until the day she died. The Gemara learns out that she had a child on the day she died, but she got punished for giving that Musar to David HaMelech. Why? because when it comes to showing kavod HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there is no other cheshbon in the world. You know, sometimes you see people by hakafot shel Simchat Torah, they go around, they make the circle, but they're very reserved, composed, you know, they're very cool, calculated. It's not the way you're supposed to be on Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah, the Rambam writes meforash, the more a person degrades himself, the more a person demeans himself, makes himself, like David HaMelech says, unkaloti means, the more I'd be mizalzel be'atzmo in order to be marbeh kvot shamayim, that's mechubad. The Rambam says that is when a person gives his whole body, kal atzmotai tomarna Hashem michamocha. Person with all of his body honors HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he dances wildly. You see all of Gdolei Olam. Maran Zichrono Bracha, I remember, on Simchat Torah, he used to act on Simchat Torah the way he didn't all year long, not on Purim, not on Pesach, klum. On Simchat Torah, he used to take off his jacket, his frock, he used to take off, roll up his sleeves, and he used to dance and sweat and mamash lichvodah shel Torah. You see, Geonei Olam, acting like that. What do you mean? Be your Gdol Hador. That's exactly what Gdolei Hador do on Simchat Torah. That's how Gdolei Hador act. Ga'avtanim, those who are worried about themselves, that you know that you don't want to break a sweat, you don't, you know, the tie, the knot is very, you know, precise. That's for Ba'ale Ga'ava. A person has his own kavod, then he shirks kvod shamayim. But for a person who's not Ga'avtan, take off your jacket, take off your suit, take off your tie, say, that's the kavod shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to make yourself kal. You know, in Simchat Bet HaShoeva, in Bet HaMikdash, everybody came to watch. Who are the only ones who are allowed to participate in the dancing? Only the biggest tzaddikim and Gedolei Hador were allowed to participate in the dancing in the Bet HaMikdash. Everybody else, step aside. You step back. You can look, you can observe, you can be a spectator, but you can't participate. To participate in the Simcha of Bet HaMikdash, and you saw tzaddikim doing juggling and, you know, lanterns and torches and stuff like that, all sorts of things that people didn't see all year long. By Simchat Bet HaShoeva, all the rules changed, because when it comes to the pursuit of the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, everything else pales in comparison. There is no simcha, there is no kavod like the kavod of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the simcha shel Torah, the way to be sameach HaKadosh Baruch Hu is to be sameach b'Torato HaKadosha. So it's a very, very important thing that a person now, after Rosh Hashanah Raba, after the din is chatum and it gets delivered on Shemini Atzeret, l'chaim tovim shalom, Hashem says, now it's time to celebrate like there's no tomorrow. All night long, like at a wedding mamash. You don't need anything else. No intermediaries, no tools, no sukkah, no lulav. Just me and you. That, Rabotai, I believe, la'anyu da'ati, is the connection between Sukkot, which is a time of simcha, Rosh Hashanah Rabba, which is again a time of din, and then once again to the epitome of simcha, which really culminates on Shemini Atzeret and Simchat Torah. Thank you all for listening. תזכו שם רבות נעימות וטובות, מועדים שמחה, חגים וזמנים לששון.